For Tom Anderson, a small-town appliance repairman, this wasn't a hypothetical question. On a quiet night drive, a flash of light and a plume of smoke in a nearby field changed his life forever. As he approached the crash site, heart pounding, Tom faced a choice that would catapult him into an adventure beyond his wildest dreams. Little did he know, his knack for fixing things was about to be put to the ultimate test, with consequences that would ripple across the galaxy. This is the story of how Tom fixed an alien ship, and how they rewarded him in the most unusual way imaginable. The following weeks brought new challenges for Tom as he struggled to balance his rapidly advancing career, his growing friendship with Emily, and the constant temptation to use his newfound abilities for more than just work. At the office, Tom's reputation as a programming wunderkind continued to grow. His ability to interface directly with computers allowed him to solve complex problems in minutes that would have taken others days. While his colleagues marveled at his skills, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that he was cheating somehow. One afternoon, as Tom was leaving work, he overheard two senior executives discussing a potential security breach in the company's main server. Without thinking, Tom reached out with his mind, scanning the network. He quickly identified the issue: a sophisticated piece of malware that had evaded traditional detection methods. Tom hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. He could easily eliminate the threat, but doing so would raise questions about how he discovered it in the first place. As he debated with himself, he felt a hand on his shoulder. "Earth to Tom," Emily's voice cut through his concentration. "You okay? You looked like you were a million miles away." Tom blinked, realizing he had been standing motionless in the middle of the lobby. "Oh, hey, Emily. Yeah, I'm fine. Just, thinking about a work problem." Emily raised an eyebrow. "Must be some problem. Want to talk about it over coffee? I could use a break from staring at code all day." As they sat in a nearby cafe, Tom found himself opening up to Emily about his concerns, carefully omitting any mention of his true abilities or their origin. "I just feel like I have this responsibility," Tom explained, stirring his coffee absently. "Like I can see problems that others can't, but I don't always know if I should act on that knowledge." Emily nodded thoughtfully. "I get it. With great power comes great responsibility, right? But Tom, you can't shoulder every burden yourself. Sometimes the right thing to do is to speak up, even if you can't explain exactly how you know something." Their conversation was interrupted by a commotion outside. People were gathering around a man who had collapsed on the sidewalk, clutching his chest. Without thinking, Tom rushed outside, Emily close behind. As he knelt beside the man, Tom's enhanced senses detected the faint electronic signal of a pacemaker in the man's chest. It was malfunctioning, its rhythm erratic. Time seemed to slow down for Tom. He knew he could fix the pacemaker with a simple mental command, but doing so in front of all these witnesses would expose his abilities. On the other hand, if he did nothing, the man might die. In that split second, Tom made his decision. Placing his hand on the man's chest, he sent a subtle electrical pulse, resetting the pacemaker to its correct rhythm. The man gasped, color returning to his face as his heart stabilized. As the paramedics arrived and the crowd began to disperse, Tom felt Emily's eyes on him. Her expression was a mix of awe and suspicion. "Tom," she said quietly, "what did you just do?" Before Tom could respond, a tall man in a dark suit approached them. "Mr. Anderson? Ms. Chen? I'm Agent Mark Roberts, FBI. I'd like to ask you both a few questions about what just happened here." Tom's heart raced. He glanced at Emily, seeing his own concern mirrored in her eyes. As they followed Agent Roberts to a more private location, Tom realized that his life was about to become even more complicated. The weight of his secret pressed down on him more heavily than ever. He had saved a life, but at what cost? And now, with both Emily and the FBI asking questions, how long could he keep the truth hidden? As Agent Roberts began his questioning, Tom's mind raced through possible explanations. He knew that whatever he said next could change the course of his life forever. The gift from the aliens, meant to be a reward, was quickly becoming a burden that threatened to overwhelm him. Tom Anderson stared at his computer screen, lines of code reflecting in his tired eyes. The clock on the wall read 2 a.m., but he couldn't stop. This was his last chance to prove his worth to the software company where he was working as a temp. Tom's small apartment was on the 5th floor of an old building on the outskirts of the city. The pale beige walls reflected the dim light from his old desk lamp. Around him, scattered sticky notes and technical books bore testament to his intense focus over the past few days. Rubbing his eyes, Tom tried to shake off the encroaching sleepiness. He knew he was close to a breakthrough, but the exhaustion was taking its toll. Just as he was about to call it a night, his computer screen flickered, and the code he had been working on suddenly compiled without errors. "Yes!" Tom exclaimed, pumping his fist in the air. He quickly saved his work and sent an email to his supervisor, hoping this would finally secure him a permanent position at the company. As he shut down his computer, a bright flash outside his window caught his attention. Curious, Tom walked over and peered out into the night sky. A streak of light, too slow to be a shooting star, was descending towards the abandoned field behind his apartment complex. Without thinking, Tom grabbed his jacket and keys. His fatigue forgotten, he rushed out of his apartment and down the stairs. The cool night air hit him as he stepped outside, sending a shiver down his spine. The field was overgrown with tall grass and weeds, making it difficult for Tom to navigate in the darkness. He used the flashlight on his phone to guide his way, following the direction where he had seen the light. After a few minutes of searching, Tom froze. There, in a small clearing, was something he never expected to see. A sleek metallic object about the size of a car lay half buried in the soft earth. It was unmistakably not of this world. Tom approached cautiously, his heart pounding in his chest. The object had a smooth oval shape with no visible seams or joints. As he got closer, he noticed a faint pulsing glow emanating from what appeared to be a damaged section. Suddenly, a panel on the side of the craft slid open with a soft hiss. Tom stumbled backward, ready to run, but curiosity kept him rooted to the spot. A figure emerged from the opening, and Tom's jaw dropped. The being that stood before him was humanoid in shape, but that's where the similarities ended. It had iridescent blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the moonlight, large almond-shaped eyes that glowed with an inner light, and long, slender fingers that ended in what looked like suction cups. "Hello, Earth Dweller," the being spoke, its voice resonating in Tom's mind rather than through the air. "I am Zara, and I am in need of assistance." Tom blinked, trying to process what was happening. Here he was, standing in a field in the middle of the night, face to face with an actual alien. All the late nights, all the stress about his job, seemed trivial in comparison to this moment. I'm Tom," he managed to stammer out. "What kind of assistance do you need?" Zara gestured towards the damaged section of the craft. "Our ship has sustained damage during our journey. Our self-repair systems are malfunctioning, and we lack the necessary materials to fix it ourselves on your planet. We detected your planet's level of technology and hope to find someone who could help us." Tom's mind raced. He was an expert in electronics and had dabbled in various engineering projects. Could he actually help repair an alien spacecraft? "I can try to help," Tom heard himself say, surprised at his own boldness. "But I'll need to take a closer look at the damage." "Oh." Zara nodded, an oddly human gesture that put Tom slightly at ease. "We would be most grateful for your assistance, Tom. Please, come aboard, and I will show you the extent of the damage." As Tom followed Zara into the spacecraft, he couldn't help but feel that his life was about to change dramatically. Little did he know just how true that feeling would turn out to be. Inside the spacecraft, Tom's eyes widened in awe. The interior was unlike anything he had ever seen. Smooth, curved surfaces covered in pulsating lights and strange symbols surrounded him. The air felt different too, charged with an energy that made the hair on his arms stand on end. Zara led him to what appeared to be the ship's control center. Several other aliens, similar in appearance to Zara, but with subtle differences in the patterns on their skin, were working on various consoles. "This is our navigation and propulsion control system," Zara explained, pointing to a complex array of crystals and light patterns. "The damage occurred when we passed through an unexpected gravitational anomaly. It disrupted our quantum stabilizers and caused a cascade failure in our main drive." Tom nodded, trying to grasp the concepts. While the technology was far beyond anything he had ever encountered, he could see similarities to the systems he was familiar with. "Can you show me the damaged components?" he asked. Zara guided him to a panel that, when opened, revealed a maze of crystalline structures and what looked like liquid metal pathways. Tom could see where some of the crystals had fractured, and the liquid metal had solidified in places it shouldn't have. "I think I understand the basic principle," Tom said, his mind already racing with possible solutions. "But I'll need some tools and materials that are compatible with your technology." Zara tilted her head, a gesture Tom interpreted as agreement. "We have manufacturing capabilities on board. If you can describe what you need, we can create it for you." Over the next few hours, Tom worked tirelessly, combining his knowledge of Earth technology with the advanced systems of the alien craft. He found himself improvising solutions, using his intuition and problem-solving skills in ways he never had before. As the sun began to rise, casting a warm glow through the ship's translucent hull, Tom made the final adjustments. He stepped back, wiping sweat from his brow. "I think that should do it," he said, a mixture of exhaustion and excitement in his voice. Zara and the other aliens gathered around the repaired system. They communicated silently among themselves for a moment before Zara turned to Tom. "You have done it, Tom. The quantum stabilizers are functioning at optimal levels, and the drive system is coming back online. We are deeply grateful for your assistance." Tom felt a surge of pride and accomplishment. He had just repaired an alien spacecraft. "I'm glad I could help," he said, trying to sound nonchalant despite his inner excitement. "Your skills and adaptability are impressive," Zara continued. "We would like to offer you a reward for your service." "Oh," Tom shook his head. "That's not necessary. The experience alone is more than enough." Zara's large eyes seemed to sparkle with amusement. "Nevertheless, we insist. Our people believe in acknowledging those who aid us. We have something in mind that we think you will find useful." Before Tom could protest further, Zara placed her hand on his forehead. A warm sensation spread through his body, starting from the point of contact and flowing to the tips of his fingers and toes. For a moment, Tom felt as if he could sense every electronic device in the vicinity, from the alien technology surrounding him to his own smartphone in his pocket. When Zara removed her hand, Tom blinked in confusion. What did you do?" "We have given you a gift," Zara explained. "A small fraction of our ability to interface with technology. You will find that you can now understand and manipulate electronic devices in ways you never could before. It is a gift that aligns with your natural talents and interests." Tom stared at his hands in disbelief. He could feel a subtle tingling in his fingertips, as if they were eager to touch and explore every piece of technology around him. "This gift comes with great responsibility," Zara warned. "Use it wisely and for the benefit of your people. And remember, the existence of our visit must remain a secret for now. Your world is not yet ready for open contact with extraterrestrial life." Tom nodded solemnly, understanding the weight of both the gift and the secret he now carried. As he prepared to leave the spacecraft, his mind was already racing with the possibilities and challenges that lay ahead. Stepping out of the ship and back onto the field, Tom watched as the craft's exterior shimmered and then seemed to vanish into thin air. He stood there for a long moment, the cool morning breeze ruffling his hair, as the reality of what had just happened began to sink in. As he walked back to his apartment, the world around him seemed different. Every electronic device he passed called out to him in a way he couldn't quite explain. He could sense the flow of electricity, the complexity of circuits, and the dance of data in a way that was both exhilarating and overwhelming. Tom knew his life would never be the same. He had fixed an alien ship, and they had rewarded him in the most unusual and extraordinary way imaginable. Now, he just had to figure out what to do with this newfound power. The following days were a whirlwind for Tom. He found himself struggling to adjust to his new abilities while trying to maintain a semblance of normalcy in his daily life. Every electronic device seemed to call out to him, begging to be explored and understood in ways he never thought possible. At work, Tom's newfound skills didn't go unnoticed. He breezed through coding tasks that once took him hours, and he instinctively knew how to optimize systems in ways that left his colleagues in awe. His supervisor, impressed by the sudden leap in Tom's performance, offered him a permanent position with a substantial raise. While thrilled with his professional success, Tom couldn't shake the feeling of isolation that came with keeping such a monumental secret. He longed to share his experience with someone, anyone, but Zara's warning about the need for secrecy weighed heavily on his mind. It was during one of his late-night walks, a habit he had developed to clear his mind and practice controlling his new abilities, that Tom's life took another unexpected turn. As he passed by a local electronics store, he sensed something unusual. The security system of the store was malfunctioning, creating a vulnerability that someone was actively exploiting. Without thinking, Tom reached out with his mind, interfacing with the security system. He could see the intricate web of code and circuitry, and within it, the foreign presence attempting to bypass the alarms. With a few mental adjustments, Tom strengthened the system's defenses and locked out the intruder. Just as he finished, a figure darted out from the alley beside the store. Acting on instinct, Tom gave chase. His enhanced connection to the city's electronic infrastructure gave him an edge, allowing him to predict the runner's path by monitoring traffic cameras and streetlights. After a few blocks, Tom managed to corner the would-be thief in a dead-end alley. To his surprise, he recognized the person standing before him. "Emily!" Tom gasped, out of breath from the chase. Emily Chen, Tom's neighbor and friend, stood there, her expression a mix of shock and guilt. "Tom, what are you doing here? How did you find me?" Tom's mind raced. He couldn't reveal his true abilities, but he also couldn't ignore what he had just witnessed. I was out for a walk and saw you running. What's going on, Emily? Were you trying to break into that store?" Emily's shoulders slumped in defeat. "It's not what you think, Tom. I'm not a thief. I'm a white hat hacker, and I was testing the store's security system. They hired my company to find vulnerabilities, but I never expected to encounter a system that could adapt and lock me out so quickly." "How did you know about the break-in attempt?" Tom hesitated, unsure of how much to reveal. I've been working on some advanced security systems lately. I guess I've developed a knack for spotting potential breaches." Or, it wasn't entirely a lie, but it felt uncomfortably close to one. Emily studied him closely, her keen intelligence evident in her piercing gaze. "There's something different about you, Tom. You've changed recently. Your coding skills at work, and now this." What's really going on?" For a moment, Tom was tempted to tell her everything. Emily was brilliant and trustworthy, and the burden of his secret felt overwhelming. But Zara's warning echoed in his mind, and he held back. "It's complicated, Emily," Tom said finally. "I've been doing some independent study, learning new techniques, but I'm not ready to talk about it yet. Can you understand that?" Emily's expression softened. "I get it, Tom. We all have our secrets. But remember, you're not alone. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here." As they walked back to their apartment building together, Tom felt a mix of relief and guilt. He had found someone who might understand his situation, at least partially, but he still couldn't fully confide in her. Little did Tom know that this encounter with Emily was just the beginning. His newfound abilities and the secret of the alien encounter would soon draw him into a web of intrigue, ethical dilemmas, and danger that would challenge everything he thought he knew about himself and the world around him. As he lay in bed that night, unable to sleep, Tom couldn't help but wonder. In a world of rapidly advancing technology, where did his new abilities fit in? And more importantly, how long could he keep this secret before it changed not just his life, but potentially the course of human history? The following weeks brought new challenges for Tom as he struggled to balance his rapidly advancing career, his growing friendship with Emily, and the constant temptation to use his newfound abilities for more than just work. At the office, Tom's reputation as a programming wunderkind continued to grow. His ability to interface directly with computers allowed him to solve complex problems in minutes that would have taken others days. While his colleagues marveled at his skills, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that he was cheating somehow. One afternoon, as Tom was leaving work, he overheard two senior executives discussing a potential security breach in the company's main server. Without thinking, Tom reached out with his mind, scanning the network. He quickly identified the issue, a sophisticated piece of malware that had evaded traditional detection methods. Tom hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. He could easily eliminate the threat, but doing so would raise questions about how he discovered it in the first place. As he debated with himself, he felt a hand on his shoulder. "Earth to Tom," Emily's voice cut through his concentration. "You okay? You looked like you were a million miles away." Tom blinked, realizing he had been standing motionless in the middle of the lobby. "Oh, hey, Emily. Yeah, I'm fine. Just, thinking about a work problem." Emily raised an eyebrow. "Must be some problem. Want to talk about it over coffee? I could use a break from staring at code all day." As they sat in a nearby cafe, Tom found himself opening up to Emily about his concerns, carefully omitting any mention of his true abilities or their origin. "I just feel like I have this responsibility," Tom explained, stirring his coffee absently. "Like I can see problems that others can't, but I don't always know if I should act on that knowledge." Emily nodded thoughtfully. "I get it. With great power comes great responsibility, right? But Tom, you can't shoulder every burden yourself. Sometimes the right thing to do is to speak up, even if you can't explain exactly how you know something." Their conversation was interrupted by a commotion outside. People were gathering around a man who had collapsed on the sidewalk, clutching his chest. Without thinking, Tom rushed outside, Emily close behind. As he knelt beside the man, Tom's enhanced senses detected the faint electronic signal of a pacemaker in the man's chest. It was malfunctioning, its rhythm erratic. Time seemed to slow down for Tom. He knew he could fix the pacemaker with a simple mental command, but doing so in front of all these witnesses would expose his abilities. On the other hand, if he did nothing, the man might die. In that split second, Tom made his decision. Placing his hand on the man's chest, he sent a subtle electrical pulse, resetting the pacemaker to its correct rhythm. The man gasped, color returning to his face as his heart stabilized. As the paramedics arrived and the crowd began to disperse, Tom felt Emily's eyes on him. Her expression was a mix of awe and suspicion. "Tom," she said quietly, "what did you just do?" Before Tom could respond, a tall man in a dark suit approached them. "Mr. Anderson? Ms. Chen? I'm Agent Mark Roberts, FBI. I'd like to ask you both a few questions about what just happened here." "Okay." Tom's heart raced. He glanced at Emily, seeing his own concern mirrored in her eyes. As they followed Agent Roberts to a more private location, Tom realized that his life was about to become even more complicated. The weight of his secret pressed down on him more heavily than ever. He had saved a life, but at what cost? And now, with both Emily and the FBI asking questions, how long could he keep the truth hidden? As Agent Roberts began his questioning, Tom's mind raced through possible explanations. He knew that whatever he said next could change the course of his life forever. The gift from the aliens, meant to be a reward, was quickly becoming a burden that threatened to overwhelm him. Agent Roberts led Tom and Emily to a quiet corner of a nearby park. The agent's stern demeanor softened slightly as he began to speak. "Mr. Anderson? Ms. Chen, I appreciate your cooperation. What you did back there was, remarkable. I've never seen anything quite like it." He paused, studying Tom's face intently. "Care to explain how you managed to restart that man's heart without any medical equipment?" Tom's mind raced. He glanced at Emily, who gave him a slight nod, as if encouraging him to tell the truth. or at least some version of it. Taking a deep breath, Tom decided to take a risk. Agent Roberts, what I'm about to tell you might sound unbelievable, but I assure you it's the truth. Recently, I've developed a sensitivity to electronic devices. I can sense them, sometimes even influence them. I felt the man's pacemaker malfunctioning and I just, nudged it back into the right rhythm. Agent Roberts' eyebrows shot up. A sensitivity to electronic devices? Mr. Anderson, are you saying you have some sort of superpower? Tom winced at the term. I wouldn't call it that. It's more like an enhanced understanding of technology. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. Emily, who had been silent until now, spoke up. It's true, Agent Roberts. I've seen Tom do things with computers that shouldn't be possible. He's not a threat. He just saved a man's life. The agent's gaze shifted between Tom and Emily. And how long have you had this? Ability, Mr. Anderson? Tom hesitated. He couldn't reveal the truth about the aliens, but he needed to say something. It started a few weeks ago. I woke up one day and things were just, different. I could sense the electronics around me in a way I never could before. Agent Roberts nodded slowly, his expression unreadable. Mr. Anderson, I'm going to be frank with you. The government has been monitoring instances of unexplained phenomena, particularly those involving advanced technological capabilities. Your case is, of interest to us. Tom felt a chill run down his spine. What does that mean exactly? It means, Agent Roberts continued, that we'd like to run some tests, understand the extent of your abilities. This would all be voluntary, of course, but I strongly encourage you to cooperate. It's in everyone's best interest to understand what's happening to you. Emily stepped closer to Tom, her posture protective. And what if he declines? Agent Roberts' expression hardened slightly. Then we'd have to consider Mr. Anderson a person of interest in an... Agent Roberts' expression hardened slightly. Then we'd have to consider Mr. Anderson a person of interest in an ongoing investigation. I hope it doesn't come to that. Tom felt a chill run down his spine. He glanced at Emily, who looked equally concerned. I need some time to think about this, Tom said hesitantly. The agent nodded. I understand. This is a lot to process. I'll give you 48 hours to make your decision. In the meantime, I strongly advise you to keep a low profile and refrain from using your abilities in public. As Agent Roberts walked away, Tom and Emily stood in stunned silence for a moment. Tom, Emily said finally, her voice barely above a whisper, what are we going to do? Tom ran his hands through his hair, his mind racing. I don't know, Emily. I really don't know. Over the next 2 days, Tom was a bundle of nerves. He went through the motions at work, but his mind was constantly preoccupied with the choice he had to make. Emily stuck close by, offering support and helping him weigh his options. On the evening before his deadline, Tom sat in his apartment, staring out the window at the field where he had first encountered Zara and her crew. He wished he could contact them, ask for guidance. But the ship was long gone, and he was left to face this challenge alone. A knock at the door startled him out of his reverie. It was Emily. Hey, she said softly as he let her in. How are you holding up? Tom sighed. I'm a mess, to be honest. I keep going back and forth. If I cooperate with the FBI, I might be able to do some good, maybe even help advance human technology. But I'm also terrified of becoming some kind of lab rat. Emily nodded sympathetically. And if you don't cooperate, you'll always be looking over your shoulder, wondering when they'll come for you. Ooh, exactly, Tom said, slumping onto his couch. Plus, there's the whole alien aspect of this. I made a promise to keep their existence a secret. Cooperating with the FBI might mean breaking that promise. Emily sat next to him, her expression thoughtful. Tom, I've been doing some digging. There are rumors in the hacking community about a secret organization that operates outside of government control. They're said to protect people with, unusual abilities. Maybe they could help us. Tom Tom looked at her, a mix of hope and skepticism on his face. A secret organization? Emily? That sounds like something out of a movie. She shrugged. Maybe, but at this point, what do we have to lose? I have a contact who might be able to put us in touch with them. As they discussed this new possibility, a plan began to form. They would reach out to Emily's contact and try to verify the existence of this organization. If it was real, they might be able to offer protection and guidance that the FBI couldn't. Just as they were finalizing their plan, Tom's enhanced senses picked up something unusual. He held up a hand, silencing Emily mid-sentence. "Something's wrong," he whispered. "There's a van outside with some kind of advanced surveillance equipment. I can feel it scanning the building." Emily's eyes widened. "The FBI?" Tom shook his head. "I don't think so. This feels, different. More advanced." They peered out the window, careful to stay hidden. A nondescript van was indeed parked across the street, its windows tinted. "We need to get out of here," Tom said urgently. "I don't know who these people are, but I don't think we want to find out." Emily nodded, her face pale but determined. "I know a place we can go. A safe house my hacker friends use sometimes. We can lay low there while we figure out our next move." As they quickly packed a few essentials, Tom couldn't help but marvel at how quickly his life had spiraled into something out of a sci-fi thriller. He had fixed an alien ship, and now he was on the run from mysterious forces with abilities he barely understood. As they slipped out the back of the building, using Tom's abilities to avoid security cameras and electronic locks, he realized that his adventure was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. Tom and Emily sped through the night, constantly checking for any signs of pursuit. Tom's enhanced senses were on high alert, scanning for any unusual electronic signals that might indicate they were being tracked. After a tense hour-long drive, they arrived at a nondescript suburban house on the outskirts of the city. Emily punched in a complex code on a hidden keypad, and they slipped inside. "Welcome to the Faraday house," Emily said, flicking on the lights to reveal a space that looked like a cross between a high-tech lab and a cozy living room. Tom looked around in amazement. "Faraday house?" Emily nodded. "The whole place is essentially a giant Faraday cage. No signals in or out unless we want them to. We should be safe here, at least for now." As they settled in, Emily reached out to her contact about the secret organization. Meanwhile, Tom experimented with his abilities, trying to understand their full extent in this electronically isolated environment. Days passed, filled with tense waiting and furtive planning. Tom and Emily grew closer, their shared predicament forging a bond stronger than either had anticipated. Chapter 7. The Guardians. On the fifth day, a knock at the door startled them both. Emily checked the security feed and gasped. "It's them," she whispered. They opened the door to find two individuals. A tall, stern-looking woman with close-cropped silver hair, and a younger man with an easy smile and eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. "Mr. Anderson, Miss Chen," the woman said. "I'm Dr. Evelyn Stryker, and this is my colleague Alex Novak. We represent an organization called the Guardians. We believe we can help you." Over the next few hours, Dr. Stryker and Alex explained the nature of their organization. The Guardians were a global network of individuals with extraordinary abilities, working in secret to protect humanity from threats both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. "Your encounter with the aliens wasn't random, Tom," Dr. Stryker explained. "They've been watching Earth for centuries, occasionally gifting individuals with enhanced abilities to see how we handle them. You're part of a much bigger picture." Tom's head spun with this new information. "So what now? What do you want from me?" Alex leaned forward, his eyes bright with excitement. "We want to help you master your abilities, Tom. And in return, we hope you'll join us in our mission to protect Earth." Chapter 8. Training and Revelations. Tom agreed to join the Guardians, and over the next few months, he underwent intensive training. He learned to fine-tune his technopathic abilities, extending his range and precision. Emily, too, found a place within the organization, her hacking skills proving invaluable. As Tom's powers grew, so did his understanding of the wider universe. The Guardians revealed that Earth was but one of many planets in a complex interstellar community. The aliens who had gifted Tom his abilities were part of a faction that believed in subtle intervention, helping humanity progress without overt interference. But there were other factions out there, some with far less benevolent intentions. Chapter 9. The Threat Emerges. Nearly a year after his initial encounter with Zara's ship, Tom faced his first real test. A hostile alien force, disguised as a multinational tech company, was attempting to infiltrate Earth's digital infrastructure. Their goal, to subtly manipulate human society, steering it towards self-destruction. Tom, Emily, and a team of Guardians were tasked with stopping this infiltration. The mission would require all of Tom's newly honed skills, as well as the courage to potentially reveal his abilities to the world. Chapter 10. The Digital Battleground. The final confrontation took place in a sprawling data center, the heart of the alien infiltration. As Guardian agents engaged in physical combat with the disguised aliens, Tom and Emily waged a digital war. Tom immersed himself fully in the flow of data, his consciousness spreading through the network. He could sense the alien presence, a cold, calculating intelligence that sought to corrupt and control. With Emily's guidance, he navigated the complex systems, closing off access points and erecting impenetrable firewalls. The alien intelligence, realizing it was being cornered, lashed out with a devastating cyber attack. Global communications began to fail, power grids flickered, and for a moment it seemed like the world itself was holding its breath. In that crucial moment, Tom made a decision. He opened himself fully to his abilities, merging with the global network in a way he'd never dared before. The risk was enormous. He could lose himself, his very identity scattered across the digital realm. But in doing so, he created a direct link to the alien intelligence. A battle of wills ensued, played out across the world's networks in microseconds. Tom could feel his sense of self slipping away, fragments of his consciousness dispersing into the digital ether. Just when all seemed lost, he felt a familiar presence. Emily, using the Guardian's technology, had followed him into the digital realm. Her familiar code served as an anchor, a reminder of his humanity. With a final monumental effort, Tom isolated the alien intelligence, trapping it in a closed network. The threat was contained, the world saved, though few would ever know how close it had come to disaster. As Tom's consciousness returned to his body, he collapsed into Emily's arms, exhausted but triumphant. They had faced the unknown together and emerged victorious. In the aftermath, as the world slowly returned to normal, unaware of the averted catastrophe, Tom reflected on his journey. From a simple repairman to a guardian of Earth, he had come farther than he could have ever imagined. The gift he had received for fixing an alien ship had led him to his true calling. And though challenges undoubtedly lay ahead, he knew he wouldn't face them alone. With Emily by his side and the Guardians at his back, Tom was ready for whatever the universe had in store. As he looked up at the night sky, a faint streak of light caught his eye, a reminder of the vast unknown wonders that awaited. Tom smiled, realizing that his greatest adventures were still to come.